Welcome to Marvel Vision, a podcast about Marvel, the MCU, and right now, Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm Alex.
I'm Justin.
I'm Pete.
And we are going to be going full spoilers here because, heck, if Marvel Studios can do it at Hall H at San Diego Comic-Con, we can do it here on our podcast. So if you haven't seen Deadpool and Wolverine in theaters now, go see it, go watch it, study it, embrace it. Put it into your mind and your soul and your body.
Wow.
But, just go see the movie, I guess, is the end part here, because we are going to jump into spoilers and reactions and everything. So that's your big warning right up top. Now, as we usually do for these theatrical movies, just to set up a little bit of how we saw it, what kind of we saw it. For the first time in a while, I think we all actually saw it opening week or opening weekend.
We did.
That's good. Usually we start this off being like, well, I saw it 4 weeks later. The theater was empty. That was bad.
Yeah. But my theater experience, if that's what you're about to ask, was I can attest to how popular this movie is. I went on Thursday at 3:30, first screening in New York City, and I sat down, and the person next to me had 4 trash bags full of stuff. I think it was a unhoused man was like, I'm going to see this movie. And I was like, oh, all right, man, we ride.
Yeah,
we ride.
There's a lot of buzz literally on the streets for this movie.
The streets are popping. The streets are coming out. And
Homeless people love this movie, dude.
Oh my gosh.
I've never had that experience going to a movie. It was wild. But movie theater was packed. People were hype. People were cheering. People were gasping. People were applauding multiple times.
I will say I had a very similar reaction.
Did you see it 3D or regulation?
I saw it in the screening that was at 3:30 because that's
Yeah,
the
you
exact
said that
amount
part.
of time.
Was it?
It was just regulation.
Yeah, it was 1D. He saw the 1D screening. It was just a point.
Kevin Feige just threw some drawings at my face. In this unhoused man.
I went to see it at the Critics screening on Monday night, which I've talked about here before. Those could be a little bit of a mixed bag, particularly with this sort of movie, because we critics are very reserved about these sort of things. This was kind of like catty-corner across the street from Lincoln Center. It was the AMC Lincoln Square. It was the IMAX. It's the real IMAX, so that was good.
Ooh, nice.
They handed everybody the the Wolverine popcorn bucket. So we all had that. So that was very fun. I straight fucked it, like all movie. Like I fucked that.
Nice, dude. Choose the
right
brothers.
Right on brand with the movie.
You have hot
and
lube?
I missed the movie. So there you go, because I was so busy making sweet love to that popcorn bucket.
Alex, that was the movie. That's what I did too. But I just had a regular popcorn bucket. I just fucked a regular bucket.
Well, that's good. That implies certain things about our manhoods and the size of them or lack thereof. The movie, though, people were great. Like, it was, again, big reactions. People were laughing and cheering and responding. So it was a legitimate screening, which I was very happy to see. And it seemed like, generally speaking, everybody had a good time. Pete, what about you?
So mine was packed. I saw it 3 o'clock on Thursday. There was a little kid dressed up as Wolverine. There was a dude in a really well like sewn together or made Deadpool costume that was really impressive. It was like, he made it himself. He was super proud of it. He was posing with people with pictures and stuff like that. So
you sure he wasn't just like a horribly burned man wearing rags?
Could have been. Could have been real life Deadpool.
Was it made out of human flesh like it should be?
No, the floating head next to him was. It was packed. People were rowdy, so that was exciting to see.
All right, now that we got that out of the way, that talk, because I could see Pete is already.
And I saw it in 3D.
You saw it in 3D. Why do you see it in 3D? I don't get it. Do you like the 3D?
Experience.
You like 3D?
Hey man, sometimes it's more fun if shit's flying at you. You know what I mean?
I guess with that opening sequence, stuff coming at you. That's fun.
Yeah, dude.
All right, so here's what I want to say before we get into this, because I'm sure there's going to be fighting, and I haven't been looking through into the fighting. There's a little part of me that wants to just sit here for an hour and be like, throw plot point after plot point at Pete and be like, did you find that funny? And people will be like, I did find that funny, or I did not find that funny, alternately. And then we could just kind of wrap up from there. But here's how I do want to frame it up, just from the positive direction. Regardless, I have been really curious to hear from you, Pete, because whatever I think about it, my general feeling is like, I see Deadpool and Wolverine together all the time in the comic book page. They did it 30 times this past week.
And my dreams.
And my dreams. But I know these are characters that mean a lot to you. You were hyped for the movie. You kept 100% spoiler free, which shouts to you on that. Give us your impression.
I had to. There were I was hanging out with Langston and stuff, and he was talking to
and this is Langston, who works for Marvel.
Yeah,
he was on the red carpet.
He was on the red carpet, a host of the red carpet for Marvel.
Yeah, so I had to literally go la la la, it was I had to do earmuffs. It was really hard.
Pretty
jump
normal night
out
for you.
Of rooms, my brother would be watching something and a trailer would come on. I would have to jump out of the room. It was hard to avoid all the ads
and just to mention, I've been to your house since then. There's a bunch of cartoon style holes in you everywhere.
Yeah,
it's
Kool-Aid
awful.
Man. And then you also drove nails into your brain to delete the parts of the comic book spoilers that you knew, right? You just crushed it.
Yeah,
so you came in completely you're like, who is Deadpool?
It was really just
So
newborn baby.
This is all to frame up. I want to hear you first. You were super hyped for this movie going in there. That is the highest level of hype I think I've ever heard from you in all the time we've known each other for something. So how was it? How did it turn out? How did it hold up to that hype? What did you think about the movie, Pete?
I really had a blast. I was laughing from the beginning and just, I was having such a great time. I can't wait to see it again. The cameos, the putting on the suit. We also, they made some fun of me. They showed the little Wolverine guy, and I felt personally attacked. But I also got to see Patch, and you got to see the.
Well, hold on. I want to just stop there for a moment because I think we both, me and Justin, had the same reaction. Yes.
Yes. Of course. I was like, "Well, are you happy, Pete? You got your little dink. You got your little dink."
What did you think? Were you happy about that? Did you enjoy?
They're making fun of me because they were like, "This would be ridiculous to have him this big." No one would take this cartoon character seriously. So I was like, okay, hey, we're everybody's taking shots, and that opening credit was, you loved Logan. Well, we're gonna dance on his fucking grave.
Well,
literally.
It's great when a movie can make you feel both seen.
Yeah.
And then
embarrassed
fun of. For yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You're both seen oh, that's me up there. Oh, God, I'm so sad.
God. Yeah.
So it made you laugh. You enjoyed it. You had a good time. You can't wait to see it again. Other thoughts from the movie, things that you liked, anything that didn't quite work for you, Pete?
If you want to look at the plot or whatever, it's ridiculous. But it, I also was hoping for more of a love story, because that's how this started.
Yeah.
So, but I did appreciate, as someone who's fallen on hard times, how even Deadpool is going through a tough, he's a used car salesman right now. That's fucking rough. You know what I mean? I also felt kind of seen where I was like, yeah, dude, shit is crazy right now. You got to fucking, and a lot of his choices, the fact that the guy was kind of like, hey, I'll give you everything you want. And he was like, no, thanks. I don't want everything that I actually do want, to be on the Avengers, to be on the main timeline, to be a part of everything. No, thank you. But I also was very moved, seeing the suit, the
Wolverine suit.
X-23 was unbelievable, in this, it's also a Wolverine movie. There was Wolverine got to have some moments, some when Blade came on, everyone went nuts. I almost jumped out of my fully reclined fucking seat. I couldn't believe it.
Rolled backwards, left another cartoon hole in the wall, but of the theater.
Yeah, I was the dude next to me was kind of yo.
Cool it,
I couldn't believe it.
Hey, I'm making my own 4DX here, all right? I can't afford it. Okay.
I was the loudest one for Elektra. I was hyped when Elektra showed up. And
can I just say one little note of criticism? Great to see her. Love Jennifer Garner. Yeah. I was bummed they didn't play the Evanescence. That was the only thing that I was I had known she was coming because they had announced that casting a while ago. And I was like, here we go. We're going to come in with the Bring Me to Life. And they didn't do it.
Yeah.
It was like the
well,
one
I got to say, especially the amount of needle drops they had in this movie that were like right next door to Evanescence, I was surprised as well. But it would have been hard to do like 4 quick needle drops when they were doing all that.
For sure.
And also, they were ramping up. They were ramping up to the Channing Tatum reveal.
Yes.
I feel like is like one of the funniest reveals.
Oh my God. And his accent, like, oh my God.
Great running joke.
Oh my God.
Who's your dialect coach? The Minions?
Yes.
Right.
He was like, one more time.
Phrase that has stuck with me, and maybe I got it wrong or maybe I missed it up too, but Channing Tatum in that accent saying, when my daddy squeezed out his butternut, I came out and said, "What's up, Doc?" That is one of the craziest lines I've ever heard in a movie.
Dialogue. Like the Chris Evans, like you were saying, Pete, that was a great misdirect and reveal.
Oh my
Super
God.
funny.
So,
so funny. The post-credits joke at the end, I thought, was the biggest string of nonsense maybe I've ever heard in a movie.
That was also what was great about it, is like, it was crazy violent. There was tons of swearing. Like, just to hear Chris Evans like go off like that was hysterical, because you had to wait so long for it, because it did feel a lot of, Deadpool's so random, but he was so specific about that language that I was just like, why is this so like going so hard right now? Like, and then just, like, oh my God, to see, I mean, people were going nuts for that. And the turn of it was just so fun, because they got the superhero landing and you're like, oh shit, here it is,
So I just want to say, and please jump in if there are more positive things you want to say, but I think like I'm right there with you. I know you're probably downsizing some of the criticism a little bit, but like I had a great time at the theater. My main impression was this is literally a crowd pleaser. Like the crowd is pleased watching this right now. But,
the crowd that is us.
Yes, the crowd that is us, which is another like little criticism I have, because going into the movie, the director, co-writer Sean Levy was like, we don't want to have people worry about homework. You don't have to worry about homework. Just come in, enjoy. It's a big movie. And seeing this movie, I was like, oh, no.
No. Everything.
No. You need an advanced degree in Marvel studies stretching back to 1998 and a minor in the complete filmography of Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, as well as their personal lives, to understand even a lick of what's going on in this movie.
And
as well as
comics,
reading.
Because you got the X, I mean, if you don't know who Patch is or any of those, like, you got to know.
Age of Apocalypse, Wolverine.
like so much. Yeah, it's a lot of comic book knowledge as well, man.
And on top of that, you need to know what's been going on in the Hollywood trades for the last 40 years, too. Yeah. Like, there was so much content that was that. This is the most homework movie of all time in a fun way. And then the amount of spoken word exposition in this movie was insane. The movie was doing homework in front of us.
Yeah.
It was like you were hanging out with your fun friend who doesn't do homework and your homework friend who only does homework.
And they got to, I mean, I feel like it dragged down the first act. The first act up until Wolverine got there for me.
Different acts.
No. But until
that
Wolverine got there, it was just so much exposition and getting through so much explanation and then shooting down the explanation, then things that like didn't exactly make sense back and forth. Once Wolverine came in, I felt like the new movie really snapped in and got was funnier and faster overall and just started throwing things out there. But when they got to the end, when they're like, to Matthew McFadden, Mr. Paradox, and he's got the claws that are like, how can we shut down this machine? He's like, well, okay, so there's 2 poles, and you got to connect the poles. I was like, shut up! I don't care!
I couldn't believe they did that. Yeah. Agreed.
That was...
Well,
it was,
and let me say, if I may sort of take the conch for the Deadpool dick-shaped conch for a second to talk about this movie. Like, this movie
I've still got positive things to talk about, though. Just
so do I.
I'm sure you'll find a way to squeeze them in.
Okay,
yes.
right.
I'm not being negative. I'm giving my full take.
Okay.
This movie's very fun. There are a lot of great jokes. I couldn't believe, as soon as Blade showed up, I was like, there's no way they're gonna. And he said, motherfucker's still trying to ice skate uphill. I was like, fuck yes. That joke is for literally me / making fun of you.
He's also smiling when he does it, which is wild because he's like, I'm telling a joke right now. And that's something that I don't even necessarily have a criticism about, but there's been a slow creep over the Deadpool movies that I think has been very interesting, where the first Deadpool movie, they had a clear delineation between Wade Wilson and Deadpool. And Wade Wilson was Ryan Reynolds being funny and charmy, but he's Wade Wilson. And then as soon as he puts on the mask, that's when he can break the fourth wall. That's when he's Deadpool. Yeah. And there's a very clear line there. Deadpool 2 muddied that line where he was kind of breaking the fourth wall and doing his thing all the time, but it was still everybody else was in the world. Like, that was the whole function of Cable, was to stand there and growl at him and be like, what are you talking about? Stop doing that. This movie, it crept onto other characters. Like the Deadpool crept into Wesley Snipes doing the some motherfuckers still trying to ice skate uphill and smiling about it. Very specifically, Gambit is another Deadpool. Like, that is not a character that exists at Gambit. Everything Channing Tatum was saying is hilarious, like a literally half out loud funny hilarious, but it's all the commentary on the fact that he was trying to get a Gambit movie off the ground since 2006, I want to say, or something like that. And it's not Gambit.
And it was happening until Disney bought Fox. And then the movie went away, which is then, because that's what I was trying to say, is like, this movie is simultaneously too much business, too much outside of the movie business, but that is also what the love letter is. And it's almost like a purposeful heightening of the whole Deadpool breaking the fourth wall thing. He doesn't break just the fourth wall. He breaks like into your like cool actor friends agents email to do this, and that's a wild heightening for this, and I think it culminates in something that I thought was really sweet, was the mid-credit roll that was like
an homage to
behind the scenes reel, and it really showed that is what this is about for Ryan Reynolds and everyone else. It's like, look, we love doing this, and to see him playing Deadpool in Wolverine Origins, and to see him like all that stuff, it's like, man, he has really wanted to do this. And one of my favorite lines in the movie that I think was the biggest heart moment for me was when he turned to Wolverine and said, I've been wanting to do this partnership for a long time, right when he runs off. And I was like, that's true for the characters, but it's also true for Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, and it's true for the fans. Like, I was like, they found a way to sort of combine all the like character commentary and meta commentary into one line, and I thought that moment really worked, and it was one of the few times where they were just doing it without telling it to you 4 times.
A couple of quick things to say about that. The derogatory way I saw somebody respond to this and call this movie online, which I don't agree with. I don't think this is as strong as that, but they said something like, oh, I always wondered what Marvel movie would be like scary movie. And there are times when I think it leans in that direction, but it's not as trashy as movies like The Scary Movie or the other, like Meet the Spartans or whatever, something like that. What I think it's more going for is a Looney Tunes meets Muppets vibe, where they're in the movie while also commenting on the movie at the same time, and they're aware of it, and everybody's kind of on that same vibe. And I also don't think they quite get there. Like, they sort of get halfway a bunch of places, which means that you end up with a wildly varying tone from scene to scene. The thing that I wish they had hit a little harder, that they played with, that I thought was really interesting and really cool, is I wish they had gone even harder for the meta commentary of, like, the idea being Deadpool was in the Fox universe. The MCU wants him because they're going to make money for him. You know, he's going to make money for them and Disney. So that's the TVA. And the TVA is like, come to the MCU, make money for us there. That's why you're special. And then he's like, no, wait, we got to bring the rest of the Fox universe along with us. And then you have all these Fox characters who are like, we never got a chance to say goodbye. We had a third Blade movie. I wanted to do more, and I never got to do more because it failed. Elektra was a total bomb. I never got to do my Gambit movie, etc. That to me is really interesting. And I think that was there and present for all of the movie, but they didn't quite hit it hard enough because they were still trying to be an MCU movie at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's accurate. And the other, like, jumping off that, it's crazy to me how convoluted the plot was. When we all know that's the biggest problem with Marvel movies, and I just think it's like bordering on insanity. They let the plot of this movie get that crazy.
Yeah.
I think this movie is going to crush. It's going to be like already the number one R-rated opening weekend for all time, probably. It's going to be one of the biggest movies of the year, and it's going to buoy Marvel in such a huge way. But if they had just done like a clean narrative that made sense and then done all the jokes and all the commentary on top, this movie could have been just like an absolute the killer, the next generation page turned on the Marvel universe.
Yeah, it's surprising too because they're so smart about everything else and commenting and aware of everything else that they are leading into the tropes. I don't know. There were things like, okay, maybe you guys could explain this to me. I'm still a little flummoxed by this. So not at the direct beginning of the movie when we have the bye, bye, bye action sequence, but after that, we get the explanation that Wade used Cable's time travel device, jumped to various points of the timeline to save all of his friends. I get all of that.
Yeah.
And then we find out later what happened with Vanessa. We don't find out at that point, but Vanessa broke up with him because he couldn't think of anybody but himself. So he goes to the 616 to visit Happy Hogan to join the Avengers.
Yeah.
Why? Like, he goes to a different... I can't wrap my head around that because as far as we know, they don't have the Avengers in his universe. So he's going to be like, babe, I went to another universe and joined a team you don't know about. Do you love me again? I just felt like there was something I was missing there.
It hurt my brain.
She didn't break up with him because of... He just became... he needed something. He was a shell of himself. He wasn't really fighting for himself or them. He was just kind of being a loser and not doing enough in life. And so when he got rejected by the Avengers, that was kind of
But why? But my question is, why did he go to the Avengers? How does he know about the Avengers? Why did he go to an entirely different universe to accomplish this, other than the fact that we need to establish the Avengers, and it's, I guess, nice to see Jon Favreau.
Yeah, I mean, I think
it is nice to see Jon Favreau. You're right, it is. So I don't like, I thought that was fun. Two comedians, going back and forth at each other. I mean, it was very, very enjoyable. I could have seen more of it.
It could have been the whole movie, honestly.
Yeah,
well, 2 hours of just Ryan and John riffing.
Easy. I mean, you gotta get the dog in there. I mean, the dog was hysterical.
The dog
pool was glorious. I mean, that was really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Baby
that
knife
stuff was fun.
A fun bit.
It felt crazy that felt like sort of like, oh, is this what the movie is? Like, because we've gone so far into weird stuff, and then it's like there's also a Deadpool army. I was like, what? Okay, weird. Sort of a surprising. I'm not saying it wasn't fun. It just that I felt like that was going to be the whole movie, but instead we got Cassandra Nova and this void stuff and all that.
I liked her. I thought she was great. The creepy fingers in people, that was
that.
Really well done.
That was my favorite effect of the movie. Really, really well done. Emma Corrin's baby voice the entire time was fantastic. It was very funny to me that they said that they looked at Patrick Stewart and James McAvoy's performance of Professor X because Cassandra Nova has nothing to do with that whatsoever.
Yeah, no. I'm his twin. It's like,
no, you're a little baby child who lives in the void, and that was awesome. I do think Cassandra Nova had a little bit of Marvel villain third act disease where she was like, I'm fine in the void. Now I'm not, and I want to destroy the multiverse. And it was a bummer to me also, and not to backseat right or anything, but they spent so much time building up to that I thought legitimately great speech from Hugh Jackman to her about if Charles Xavier knew about you, he would have torn apart the multiverse to find you. It was
nice.
Oh my God, that got me. and maybe this just came down to contracts and times or anything, but the fact that they didn't solve the Cassandra Nova problem by bringing in Charles Xavier was wild to me. When the whole movie was about friendship, it was about togetherness, it was about finding your ultimate purpose and becoming better, that they were like, our solution to Cassandra Nova is to blast her apart into spaghetti while she's upstairs.
Well, that AVN, that whole kind of thing was the spaghetti. That was kind of the end of it. So they kind of called back the spaghetti. Who doesn't love tripped out spaghetti? I know in the 3D world, I was enjoying it.
What?
I think you mean the TVA. Is that what you meant?
Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
Right.
Thank you.
The honestly, the spaghetti and the Loki stuff stressed me out. I was like, don't do Loki. I feel like we just left that behind. I don't want to go there.
This was also, while we're going on criticism, and we could get back to positive because I could see Pete getting antsy, but I just, a couple of things here that felt like weird back and forth as well, that they set up Deadpool traveling through the multiverse, wrecking the multiverse, and when he gets pulled in by the TVA, he's like, oh, is it because of that? They're like, no, it's something entirely different.
Yeah,
was
I know.
bonkers. And then also, on the Loki bet, the whole idea that, like, Loki Season 2, which you have to watch to understand what's happening in here, getting to the homework thing again, built up to, the TVA doesn't prune timelines, we take care of timelines. The whole plot of this movie is like, well, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Also, maybe.
That's lame.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's too contradictory. I don't know, just follow what he had before, pick it up and pick up the ball. Yes, and don't know but.
Yeah, but also like the fact that they got to her, the fact that they got to work together, I thought was a nice moment. So
wait, they who?
The fact that Cassandra was like, all right, I mean, yeah.
Until she betrayed them almost
She heard
instantly?
him. She heard him and was like, there was a moment there, and I thought it was nice. And I thought Wolverine did a good job of being like, I'm not fighting you. I really want you to hear what I'm saying. And I thought it was, so whatever. I thought it was a nice moment. So go fuck yourself.
I framed that up as saying that was one of my favorite moments.
Yeah,
of
but
the
then
movie.
you just took it the fuck down a notch. So, I wanted to.
It was one of my
get
favorite
back in
moments,
there.
and it sucked.
Yeah.
Is that bad?
Yeah.
That tracks. Very Deadpool of you. A couple things I wanted to shout out. I love that nice pool. The Canadian accent he had, I thought was so funny. That was a nice, very small joke.
And I loved how he set that up of like, he's going to murder this guy to get his cool guns. So like, it was a fun countdown to when that was going to happen.
That was very Ryan Reynolds being Ryan Reynolds, but all the jokes, the thing where I'm blanking on what the exact Van Wilder joke was, but when Deadpool makes a Van Wilder joke.
Yeah.
What was it? Van Milder. That's what it was.
Yeah.
That's been bothering me for days.
Hilarious.
And then he was like, oh, I can break the fourth wall too. And then just turns and says, the proposal.
I thought that was also very funny.
Yeah, that was very funny. And the eventual way that he died, that he is the one Deadpool who doesn't have regeneration. Great.
So funny.
That to me, having relatively recently watched most of the previous Deadpool movies, that's the sort of joke that felt like on par with a lot of the previous Deadpool stuff, when a lot of this movie veered into, and I understand why, but MCU jokes and outside I am Ryan Reynolds jokes versus being in the world of Deadpool.
Just jokes.
Yeah.
Exactly. I loved the extra, the Wrexham stuff. I loved all of that, dude.
Yeah,
all the extra.
And I love
that Lady Deadpool
Ollie, the striker. Ollie, the striker from Wrexham, was a bar patron. Rob McElhaney was, I believe, cut from the movie. And
they said he could have been one of the, because he was in the outfit of one of the, helmeted, avian.
I loved the making fun of Wolverine's uniform being a superhero who fights for the LA Rams. I thought that was fun.
Hysterical. Yeah.
But I will say I did feel a little like, stop making fun of MCU. I like that. That's why I'm here, my man. Like, don't be so harsh on them.
Come on, the Paul Rudd is finally aged joke was hilarious.
Great joke.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man.
Well, the other thing about it, and I'm curious to get your guys' take, it's kind of not really an MCU movie, right? Like, there's jokes about it, but it is very much other than being set in the void, which also seems to be, I don't know, Vancouver or wherever they filmed it, which...
It felt like Void when they were in New York City. I was like, guys, at least make the cabs right.
Yeah. So I don't know what I was saying, actually. Pete, you were going to say something.
Oh, I was just going to say on the gun, it said, smile, wait for the flash, which I thought
Funny.
was very funny.
That was good stuff.
And it's easier to read when it's 3D coming at you. So just,
Oh, nice.
I don't know what I was going to say. I could start working through some... Oh, here, I'll throw out something just while I'm trying to think about stuff. Did you catch the Stan Lee cameo when they were having the bus fight? It panned past the bus. There's a little cartoon Stan Lee there. I thought that was very cute.
Smart and subtle.
Yes, that was nice. Pete, what did you think about the romance in it? Because I think you commented on this earlier, and maybe you're going to yell at me for saying this. I was a little bummed out, honestly. Like, most of it was flashbacks. It didn't include Vanessa, I felt enough. And there wasn't... I mean, there was a nice payoff there. Like, I liked where they ended up, but it felt sort of perfunctory, honestly.
Well, it was tough because, they were kind of... Instead of it being they were good, Deadpool has to win her back or at least be better. So it was nice to see steps towards that, because after the second one, it was just kind of all over. So I was hoping this would be more of their love story, and I'm hoping the next one will be. But yeah, I was also disappointed because I love the rom-com aspect of Deadpool. It's one of the nice things about him.
Yeah, and it was weird that they got such short shrift because it was his driving force, technically. He was like, I just want to be with her.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That was a strange thing to make it important, but then barely in it. I thought it was pretty good. I have to go. I have a TVA appointment in the multiverse.
Smart.
But I think this was a good movie that had some problems, like all movies, but especially all MCU movies. So shouts to that. Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
All right. Peace out to Justin. Pete, want to hang out for a little bit? We'll talk about some more Easter eggs and yell at each other a bit more.
Yeah, I would love to. For me, everything in the Honda Odyssey was a great time. I mean, the fights, I think, were fun, and the fact that they were just kind of like every once in a while, because they're two very volatile characters. If you're together long enough, they're going to start in on each other, and I just thought it was so funny. Also, the bit about the Honda Odyssey was really funny, but the very fun, inventive fight sequences inside of a van and the kind of shot of Deadpool like all mummified up was just a hysterical couple of seconds.
I agree with that last thing you said, and in general, I enjoyed the repartee between Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds. One of my bigger problems with the movie was Sean Levy's direction. I think he did an okay job with the comedy, though it was mostly like back and forth with the camera, which is fine. Like, it kept it fast, it kept it funny, and that's all good. I don't think he's a great action director, and that was a bummer to me. Like, coming out of Deadpool, you had Tim Miller, who was a visual effects artist who got his first shot at a live action movie, putting it all on the floor, making it really inventive, really wild, exciting to watch. Deadpool 2, there's faults to the movie, but I'm going to mispronounce his name, but it's David Leitch, who just is really visually inventive and does very interesting things all the time. And again, keeps it fast, keeps it funny, did a very similar thing. He's done other movies, but like he did Bullet Train, which whatever problems people may have with that movie, it looks pretty wild and the fights are pretty clean and interesting. These were paced weird to me, and I was frustrated about it. From the very first one with the bye, bye, bye dance sequence, it just kept chopping and cutting all over the place. And the biggest bummer to me was the battle at Cassandra Nova's stronghold with everybody. I was really looking forward to that. I was like, awesome. We're going to get an awesome Elektra moment. We'll get an awesome Blade moment. We'll get an awesome Gambit moment.
You don't think we got those?
We got moments, but like X-23 for sure got one. when she was attacking Juggernaut. That was
Yeah.
cool. Slicing the ankles was so gross.
Oh my God.
But that was great. She got stuff to do. But everybody else, it was just such shaky cam to cover stuff. It bummed me out. That's all. And then I like the tracking shot with the bus. It was very clearly taken from Old Boy, which is cool. That's an iconic shot.
Yeah.
But watching it, like Wolverine's claws weren't connecting with anybody. He was like chopping behind them a lot of the times. And I understand he can't actually chop people, but I was like, I'm watching a very expensive, big budget MCU movie. Make it look like Wolverine is chopping people with his claws, please. That's all. So,
Well,
and I
I
chalk
mean-
that 100% up to Sean Levy, nobody else.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know about that. I mean, the thing is, it's Sean and Ryan Reynolds have made like 3 movies back to back with each other, so I think they kind of found a groove, and that's why.
Yeah,
they
they've found a groove to make a couple of okay movies.
Well, whatever, man. I saw them all, and I thought they were fun. So I do think that, you know, whatever. I didn't walk away going, man, the problem with this is the direction. There were a couple of times where it was like, but I was just kind of like, you know, I'd much rather them pull a punch than, you know, and be careful than like somebody lose a part of their face or something. So, yeah, it's hard to kind of do stunt and camera at the same time. So, yeah, but you would think for a big budget, they could kind of make it look better. But
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, I was too busy having fun to kind of be like, oh, he missed a guy there or whatever in that kind of sequence.
Well, just to be clear about it, because I know you and I disagree in terms of watching this stuff. This is because when we got into the sequence and they started that shot, I was like, oh, this is going to be great. This is cool. I'm excited for this. And when there were things that just started not working, it took me out of it. Like, that's why I got upset about it, is because it raised my expectations and then it bummed him out. But we view things differently, Pete. That's all.
Well, also, like, you know, really on that, it depends on who you're looking at. Like, yeah, if you happen to be looking at Wolverine where it's obviously, it's like a thing, you're like, you know.
Yeah, but you were concentrating on the bus because you're a big bus watcher,
Huge,
right?
Yeah. Love cars, love buses. You know, the Honda Odyssey was nice to see. I wonder if the sales of the Honda Odyssey will go up after this movie. You know what I mean?
Definitely. I think it's the most popular car in America now. I wanted to ask you, we talked about her a little bit. How did you feel about bringing back Laura, aka X-23, in this movie? You've got to be a big Logan fan, so how'd you feel about that?
Yeah, it was great. I am a huge Logan fan, and even though they did kind of dance on its grave, it was a fun joke. Yeah, it was great to see her. She was hysterical. She was moving. She's an unbelievable actor and does crazy stunts. So anytime you got X-23 on the screen, I don't know why they're not doing more with X-23, because she is phenomenal. She's multilingual.
Well, I mean,
got
to that
great
point,
presence.
not to jump ahead to talk about what's next or anything, but she's still there at the end of the movie. I was a little bummed out that Elektra, Blade, and Gambit weren't there. I was like, oh no, they left them to die. Uh-oh. But they brought her back, and I think that's clearly to have an option there to bring her back in the full-on Wolverine costume at some point in the future, which I hope they do. Like,
Yeah.
they made a lot of jokes about it. I'm 99% sure they're gunning to bring back Hugh Jackman for Secret Wars, at the very least, as Wolverine.
Well, that was the joke. He was like, now you're back, they're going to have you till you're 90. Which
Yeah,
is,
it's like, you know, the best jokes are based in truth, I think. But
Yeah.
he's not going to do it forever. She is a great option to bring in. Like, rather than recasting Wolverine with the Cavalrine, which I'd love to get your
No,
take on.
that's, I just saw that on my notes. It was like, oh, we haven't talked about Calvary. That was fun. That was hysterical and a great bit of just Henry Cavill is fantastic. And yeah, he's kind of gets short.
Well, what do you think about that? I mean, we're jumping from X-23 maybe being the future Wolverine to, could Henry Cavill be the MCU's Wolverine after Hugh Jackman
Old
hangs it up
Man
for good?
Logan or something like that? Like, I don't know. I think I wouldn't mind it. he's too tall, but I do think that
Well, they could digitally shorten him down like they did Short King Wolverine.
Yeah, I wish they would. I think it would be cool to have him as a supporting or whatever. But I mean, I think X-23 is definitely the future where the things should go. But I'm glad he got shouts in this movie because he is fantastic, and it was hysterical. The Calverine bit was just so much fun.
I liked it too. I'm really turning a corner on Henry Cavill, I think, because for years I was like, oh my God, he is sucking everything out of the screen here. But this is relatively recently, but Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, he was great in that.
He
and
was
watching
fantastic.
that, I was like, he'd be a pretty good Wolverine or something. Like he's kind of, he's got this crazy look in his eye, and it was very
He
different
did his
here,
Mission Impossible move too, which I thought was hysterical.
Very
that they had him to, yeah. Oh my God.
That was great. We also didn't mention when we're talking about alternate Wolverines, we did mention the Hulk versus Wolverine from Wolverine's first appearance. I think we also got the classic Todd McFarlane cover with the Hulk in the claws reflected there. That was cool. Very fun stuff.
Very cool.
What else? Oh, I wanted to ask you about the cowl. That was a big moment that they were leading up to that we've never gotten to see in any of the X-Men movies. During the fight with the Deadpool Corps, he finally puts on the Wolverine cowl. How'd you feel about that, Pete?
It was glorious. I mean, some people think it's two Batman kissing, but I just thought it was just, and they did a good job. He's like, now you do it, and it was fun. It was cool to see.
Yeah, I also was like, when it happened, and I couldn't parse through my reaction of like, I'm a grown adult man. Why am I excited about this? I'm not 100% sure, but that's just
it's just one of those things where you've seen in comics so much and you've never seen it not once in a movie. So it was just, it was the little, I was having a lot of those moments. Like the cameos really got to me, and some of those speeches were, I think
Azazel, you're excited to see Azazel again from X-Men First Class?
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, we got Matthew McConaughey doing voices. We got Liv as the Lady Deadpool, which I thought was hysterical. Blake Lively. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe you called her Liv, short for Lively.
Yeah. I like to.
When you're hanging out with Liv and Ray, which is short for Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah. Liv and Ray. Yeah, I just.
And their daughter, Inez Reynolds, was Kidpool. So that's pretty cute.
See, that's just...
And wait, one more. Nathan Fillion was Headpool, the floating head. So fun stuff as well.
But that's to me why I didn't have a problem with it. It seemed like everyone was having a blast. Even Wesley Snipes was having a blast. You know what I mean? Like, so...
Can I just mention, just before I forget, my favorite inside joke of all the inside jokes in the movie was when Deadpool is just saying a bunch of shit and Wesley Snipes looks at him and says, I don't like you, and Deadpool says, you never did.
Yeah.
Just an amazing shout out for anybody who doesn't know. They very famously, depending on who you ask, but feuded on the set of Blade Trinity, where Wesley Snipes was method. Everybody called him Blade on set. He was Blade 24/7 whenever you saw him. And Ryan Reynolds made it his mission to make him laugh on set. And it apparently drove Wesley Snipes absolutely insane. So that he was back at all and that they called that out, I was like, all right, that's good. I like it.
And also it was funny when he was like, I'm the only Blade there is, was, or will be. And then Ryan Reynolds is going like,
that to me was such an interesting joke to throw in there too, because obviously they're calling out that Mahershala Ali has been cast as Blade, except for the fact that was in 2019. Mahershala Ali has done a off-screen voice in a post-credits on Eternals, and it hasn't done the movie yet.
Yeah.
So it was like this weird double-edged sword of like,
it was
maybe Snipes is right about that.
That's the fun of it, because we're like, who's right? Because we think Mahershala Ali's gonna be Blade, and it's like, oh, nobody told Wesley Snipes, or maybe he knows that it's never gonna happen, and he's like, so.
That was an interesting moment to me. That to me was like, I don't think purposefully transgressive, but of all the jokes in the movie, and I think it's easy to like call out, not easy, but like you're not going to get any guff for calling out Kevin Feige or any of the Marvel stuff or anything like that. The thing to me that I was like, ooh, I actually can't believe they threw it in there is when they took the time out in the middle of the Deadpool Corps fight to be like, I don't think this multiverse stuff is working. That to me, I was like, oh shit, are they actually going to use this movie to be like, we got to stop doing this. This is not working. And then they kept going with it. So of course they're not, and they're going to keep going. But there was a brief moment there when they said that. I was like, oh my God, are they going to course correct the entire MCU in the middle of this movie? That would be the most amazing thing that's ever happened in the history of the MCU. And then, no, they're not going to do that. But
you do too much writing while you're watching, dude. You got to shut off your brain.
I can't.
And just enjoy what is in front of you. Yeah. Stop writing ahead.
The amount of do you want to build a snowman that I'm doing, it can't work. I can't even do that. Can I mention also, and again, I think this gets back to like the difference between just dropping a million references per second where 50% of them work and 50% of them don't, and actual jokes. Leslie Uggams, Blind Al, everything she had, actual jokes, maybe the funniest character in the movie, I think. Literally every single one of her lines killed.
She's fantastic. Yeah. Blind Al is great. I mean, she's fantastic in the comics. She's great in the movies.
What was the thing? It was just like a simple, she looks out the window and sees all the Deadpools fighting. Is like, what the fuck? And that was it. I laughed so hard. It was such a good delivery of that line. It was great. A couple of other things, just kind of looking down my list here. We didn't really talk about the quick shot of Thor cradling Deadpool. Yeah. I feel like that's clear. We're going to loop back to this if we ever get to Secret Wars.
I got excited because I was like, oh, what if we get... Because when we dropped down to that, I was like, I want Frog Thor so bad, because we were there at that place where we saw him last. So I was just like, oh, man.
Yeah. No, I think that was... I mean, I will laud the movie. They did a good job of throwing in jokes and then having them pay off with plot points later on. And they also did a good job of throwing in things that could have been cameos, but ultimately were supporting roles. So I thought that was nicely structured. But that specific thing, I think that was a shout out to the fans to be like, we're going to come back to that later. Deadpool's going to be in the Secret Wars movie and do something heroic, and Thor's going to cry over him. And I don't think we're going to get that exact shot because that was, I believe, a shot from Thor the Dark World where they subbed out Natalie Portman and put in Deadpool. But still, we'll see. A couple of other things. We mentioned Azazel shows up. Pyro, of course, has a big part. Yeah. Great to see him. Lady Deathstrike shows up, though I don't think it was Kelly Hu. I think Psylocke was in there. Like there was somebody who was using a... purple whip that seemed like the sort of things that she was using in X-Men Apocalypse. Could be wrong about that. There's a weird amount of attention paid to the guy with the striped shirt at Cassandra.
Yeah, that's the Punisher. That's the Punisher villain.
Oh, really?
From the Thomas Jane. Yeah, the Russian.
No. Yeah, dude, oh, my God. That's amazing. That's great.
Well, that's what I thought they were going with.
All right, maybe. It was. I was like, this has to be somebody, and it's driving me insane who this is.
Toad. I loved all the Toad shout-outs.
The Punisher joke was very good as well. We were like, which one? There's been a lot of them. Yeah. That was good. Solid stuff. In Pyro's convoy, there was a Fantastic car. They also had a Fantastic Four flag, and I believe they had Red Skull's car from Captain America the First Avenger, which is pretty neat. Juggernaut was interesting because it looked like Vinnie Jones, but it wasn't Vinnie Jones.
Why didn't they get Juggernaut to come back? Like, what was that about?
He gave an interview, I want to say about a year ago, where he said that it was very difficult to be in the costume because he couldn't get out of it and he couldn't move and everybody had to like give him drinks through straws and things. So I think he asked for a lot of money that they didn't want to give him. And he's like, all right, they couldn't pay for me, so I'm just not going to come back.
Yeah, you got to, I mean, when it's, yeah, I mean, I've heard actors talk, what was it, like Jim Carrey talking about like how he was claustrophobic and one thing he put on, like he thought he was going to die, like he was having panic attacks. So I wonder if he was like, if I'm going to put myself through that kind of hell, I got to have a price that,
Yeah, I think so. And it's too bad, but, you know, it is what it is. They also didn't get Kelly Hu. I don't think they got Ray Park, maybe, as Toad.
Huh.
Yeah, they didn't get
It was
Jason
tough to tell.
Fleming, who played Azazel. So got a bunch of lookalikes, but that's pretty much it. What else? Oh, we didn't talk about the end credits. I want to mention one quick little thing that I've gotten like heavy disagreement with online, where people are like, "Shut up, you're crazy." But when they do that final shot of the cowl and the mask, and then they cut to credits, I was super jarred by that. Like them going from the cowl and the mask to just the credits suddenly rolling. I thought they had cut something out in the critics screening or hadn't finished animated credits or something like that. But I guess that's the way the movie plays out. Did that throw you to it all, or I'm just a...
No, I just wondered if it was like they were just kind of like making a Deadpool cow joke, or if that was hinting towards something. Yeah.
No, they just cut to it. But in the credits, we do get to see this montage of behind the scenes for the Fox universe. I don't think they meant it this way, but I did think it was very funny that the song that they were playing was Green Day's Good Riddance. Is the name of the song. It's Good Riddance, Time of Your Life, which is this very sweet song, but it's also like, get out of here. But that was very sweet. That was very nice. And
I think more the theme was like, oh, we were young and, Right.
Well, yeah. And I think it pays off. The actual theme of the movie is like, hey, man, these Fox movies, like Justin was saying earlier, we spent a lot of time on them and we had a good time making them. And then 2019, it just stopped. We never got a goodbye. And that I was very touched by. Like, I'm not a DCEU fan, but I heard that from a lot of DCEU fans being like, we spent a decade watching this franchise and then it just went away overnight. That's a real bummer. And same thing with the Fox X-Men stuff, where we got Dark Phoenix followed by New Mutants getting like shunted into, I think, theaters very briefly and then just online, and everybody being like, this is how it ends? What a bummer. So getting a real send-off to a franchise like that that's 20 years old, pretty cool.
Yeah.
What else? Any other things you want to call out there? Oh, I did think it was a very knowing line when Deadpool shouted, this is a lot of exposition for a threequel. I was like, yeah, man, you should have edited the script a little bit, don't you think?
Well, yeah, and then he made that joke where he was like, he's literally watching Wolverine drink, and he was like, it's okay, audiences are used to a longer running time. You know what I mean? Where they were, they're just kind of like being like, fuck you, man, this is what we're doing.
Now, there's one thing we definitely do need to talk about, and I got to talk about with you, that I have not seen enough about online, people talking about. The amount of heat coming off Hunter B-15 and Peter. Ooh-wee. Oh, that was great. I love that. That thing.
I did too.
Oh my
the way
God.
she was
like,
looking him up and down and being like, yes,
I started
please.
my heart started beating a little faster. I was like,
wow.
okay,
All right.
all right.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Let's do this.
Spin it off. Rom-com, erotic thriller. I don't care. Let's go for it. Make it happen.
The next Marvel TV show should be the two of them.
Yes. So much heat in those scenes. Like, so funny, but also like legitimate chemistry between these two people in these brief little shots, which was great.
I loved how much love Peter was getting.
Mm-hmm.
That was like, yeah, that's right.
Rob Delaney, very funny man. Very funny. That is all I got in my notes. I'm sure I'm missing a bunch of stuff. Anything else you want to shout out, Peter?
I just thought all the Deadpools, there was fun choices, there was thought of choices, there was nods to the comics in all sorts of different ways, which I was like, this is great. There's a real attention to detail in these that is very nice. And I love we got a little welcome to Wrexham Deadpool. It was fun. There was a lot of levels happening to it, a lot of different walls being broken. But man, it was just really, I think that's overall message is everybody was having fun. And unlike Green Lantern, the editors watched this movie and they're, even though you're saying at the end that was kind of a jump cut, they could have done something different. But I'm just wondering if it was trying to do something to hint at something. So
I don't think they were trying to hint at anything. Oh, and we talked about the end credit scene as well, which I like that joke. The whole Chris Evans.
The whole
person.
every time Chris Evans, it was great because it's like, this isn't Captain America. So he is more unhinged and swears. And it's just, it was
and uses his straight up Boston accent, which he probably talks like that anyway. Also, hands down, the stupidest joke of all the stupid jokes of the movie that I can't believe they did, but it made me laugh out loud anyway, is after he does flame on, which great moment there, flying around. Also, I thought great setup of like, oh, you have Pyro, who his power is to control flame. He takes Johnny Storm's grave. Just a great comic booky moment there. The fact that he fell down and hit his balls and then just did the oi, oi, oi thing was so stupid. It was so stupid, but I appreciated that they just went for it. Just went for a landing on his balls joke straight out of like Naked Gun or something like that. Good stuff.
It was funny because there was that one where like the superhero landed and like hit his head. Mm-hmm. And it kind of reminded me of that comic where Joker wins and like Batman falls off the roof and kind of hits his head and breaks his neck. And I was just like, oh, shit.
Yeah, that was the Nightmare thing that Matthew Rosenberg wrote. Night Terrors, right. Yeah. That was great. Check out Night Terror's Joker, I think, or something like that, for more information on Deadpool and Wolverine.
Well, no, it was just Joker, the story.
So, yeah, just to sort of wrap up on my end, since I think you did your little wrap up here, I will say I have my issues with the movie, as I think I've expressed. And definitely my takeaway, the more I thought about it, I was like, well, that didn't work and that didn't make sense. And that didn't really fit together. That's frustrating. I don't think it's going to have a lot of rewatchability for me, honestly, because it feels like there was a magic trick in the theater that you watch. It's a stunt, but I think that has worth as well. I think there is a place for stunt spectaculars like this that please crowds, literally make them happy, make them cheer, make them have a good time, make them laugh. And that's what it's providing. Like you were saying, they were having a good time. That's what they wanted to pass along to everybody else. And I think ultimately that's why the movie's successful.
Yeah. And I think that I think it is rewatchable for the stunts, for the cameos, for the kind of like, I want to go back and try to pause and see if I can find Rob McElhenney. You know what I mean? Like I think those fight sequences were good enough of Deadpool versus Wolverine that I can't wait to just kind of have that running on a YouTube loop in my background while I'm trying to do other work. Like there's things that I feel like are just nice to kind of like revisit, you know?
Yeah, and to be fair, I will definitely, when it's on Disney Plus, rewatch all of the Channing Tatum dialogue with the captions on because I want to know what he said.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, that stuff was crazy, and I am 99% sure he made it up on the day because that seems like the kind of guy he is. He is the king of the cameos.
Yeah, I mean, he's also cameoed in Ryan Reynolds and Sean Levy's other.
He was in Free Guy.
He was in Free Guy.
They were both cameos in Bullet Train, right? I believe. Yeah. So there you go. Both king of the cameos.
Yeah. Perfect. So, I mean, maybe you're just doing jobs to give Channing Tatum sweet cameos. You know what I mean?
That's worth it, man. Until he does the next Step Up the Revenge. Keep that guy going. Keep his career going.
Dude, don't bring up Step Up, all right? Because that's still, I mean,
because
they were a power couple. They were on top of the world, man. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, if they...
Well, now that's Ryan
Reynolds. Dance can't bring people together. What hope do we have in life?
That power couple slot has been taken by Ryan Reynolds and Liv, right?
Liv. Yeah. You got to live, man. You got to live every day.
All right, before we wrap up here real quick, we've touched on some future stuff, but we're going to go to our vision board, and talk about what's next. What do you think? Obviously, we know the next movie is going to be Captain America: Brave New World. We also know Agatha All Along is going to be premiering later on this year. I don't think this has anything to do with those necessarily, but I would throw out there, like I said earlier, I think there is a almost 100% chance if they end up doing Secret Wars, unless like the world ends or things implode, that Deadpool and Wolverine absolutely are going to be cornerstones of that. I don't know if we're going to see another Deadpool movie or another Wolverine movie or anything like that, but I could see them playing in some way in whatever MCU does for X-Men. What do you think?
Well, if they were smart, instead of doing another Deadpool Wolverine movie, I would be cool if they wrote an X-23 movie and then had Deadpool and Wolverine in it.
Like as her two dads who are like, you be careful out there,
yes, dude.
X-23.
It's like a 3 men and a baby type of thing. You know what I mean? We're like, it's stupid fun, but also it's a vehicle to get Vanessa and Wade back together. Yeah, and just have the whole gang there again and get goofy. But because I want to see how X-23 does. Maybe it's a story about X-23 rise to the X-Men, or, you know, if they want to do the Avengers bit or whatever. You know what I mean?
I think if they were smart, and I don't know if they'll do this, but I think you're absolutely right. Like, spin off an X-23 movie, I think that would absolutely crush. And that also gives them a new younger star to work in the mix for the next 10, 20 years. Nothing against Hugh Jackman or his age or anything like that, but like, he's very publicly been like, I can't do this forever. I physically cannot. And Ryan Reynolds also came out and said, my wife will kill me if I do Deadpool 4.
He said it like his daughter was like, Daddy, how much longer do you have to play Deadpool? Like, when can you be a dad again? And he was destroyed by that.
This movie to me, and again, I'm sure he will play it again. They will bring him back. They will back up the money truck. But this to me felt like a good closer to the Deadpool trilogy. Like, they have said what they said. He put all the jokes on the table, did everything you needed to do. This is going to be the biggest R-rated movie of all time. I think we're okay. I think he's okay to move on and do other things.
But that movies doesn't work like that because it did well. They're going to be like, you have to do another one. You know?
Absolutely.
I
know that too. And also, I just want to mention for clarity for anybody listening, we are taping this on Friday, July 26th at 9 p.m. Tomorrow night at San Diego Comic-Con is Marvel's Hall H panel. They're going to announce all of these things, and we're going to be 100% wrong in less than 24 hours at this point.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But even if they did another Deadpool movie and went back to the romance of it and made it a love story again, I think.
See, here's the problem, though. They can't do a smaller Deadpool movie now. Like, the first one was small.
It was.
That was great. The second one blew it up a little bit. This one, I actually thought it was relatively focused for what I expected from this movie and for the amount of cameos, that it was still very focused on Deadpool and Wolverine, which I thought was nice. But at the same time, it is bigger scope. It is bigger scale. It's thrusting them into the MCU's multiverse. So they're not going to be like, there was a great pitch that apparently Ryan Reynolds threw out there for Deadpool 3 where it was just him and Dopinder in a cab chatting for 2 hours. I love that. I would absolutely watch that. Yeah. Never in a million years are they ever going to be able to do that, because Disney's not even going to be like, no, we will not give you $2 billion to do that, but we will give you $200 million to do Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
So, oh well. We've passed the Rubicon, crossed the Rubicon, Pete, unfortunately. And for all of you, we've crossed the Rubicon to the end of this podcast. So if you'd like to support us, patreon.com/comicbookclub. Also, we do a live show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. to Facebook and YouTube. Come hang out. We would love to chat with you about Marvel movies. Apple, Spotify, Android, or the app of your choice to subscribe, listen, and follow the show at Comic Book Live on Twitter/X, Comic Book Club Live on TikTok and Instagram, comicbookclublive.com for this podcast and more. Until next time, stay marvelous, bub.